If I were to tell you you could get plus 5 horsepower out of your bike without doing any motor mods for 300-ish bucks, would you do it? I sure would, and I did. The plus 5 horsepower is clickbait, I'll admit it, but it's not a lie. The plus 5 horsepower did come at the end of the RPM, but the peak horsepower gained by dyno tuning your bike, you can get about 1.5 to 2 over on a stock machine. So I went to Power Chicken Off-Road here in Heber City, Utah. We dynoed my bike and were able to get really good results. There's a lot of good reasons to get your bike dyno tuned. If you're a Yamaha guy, it's a no-brainer because you can use the Power Tuner app to adjust your ECU on the dyno. If you're not a Yamaha guy, it's still a really good thing to do. With a Vortex ECU, you can do a lot more things like adjust the overfueling temperature setting, change the rev limiter, and change the air-to-fuel ratio at any point in the RPM. There should be a full video with lots of details on my YouTube as you're seeing this. Alright, if you made it this far, thank you very much. You're now on my YouTube channel. Check out the results of the dyno tune. Let's stop and zoom in at this map just a little bit. Let me see if I can quickly explain this little chart here. So, the red line is stock intake, basically a bone stock 24 Yamaha YZ450. It had a peak horsepower of 49 at 6,000 feet elevation. Dirt Rider dyno tested this bike at 55 horsepower at sea level. This green line is after we dyno tuned it. We used the Yamaha Power Tuner app. We adjusted the air-to-fuel ratio, or the fuel, by looking at the air-to-fuel ratios through the RPMs as we did the pulls on the bike. So as you optimize the air-to-fuel ratios, you start to get more power out of the bike. So the cool thing I'm noticing about this is, yes, we have 1.5 more peak horsepower, but look at it as it goes beyond. You're getting almost 4 and 5 horsepower on the very top more, simply from dyno tuning and optimizing that air-to-fuel ratio on the bike. Again, no motor mods, no nothing. You're gaining 1.5 up here, 4 to 5 over here, and this top line down here is the torque curve, so you're like maybe 1 more foot-pound of torque over stock. This blue line, just FYI, is my own little pod filter. On my 2019 YZ, my pod filter actually outperformed the stock curve the whole way up, but on this 24 Yamaha, it doesn't outperform it until at the very, very end, when basically you're almost at the rev limiter. Anyways, I thought that was really cool. So again, like I mentioned in the first of the video, for the Yamaha guys, I think this is a no-brainer. Like, what other motor mod are you going to get for your bike for 300-ish bucks that's going to add that kind of horsepower? I don't think there's anything. Now, especially for people that are doing any kind of motor mods to their bike, you don't know how you're changing the air-to-fuel ratios on that. I mean, yes, if you throw a big bore kit on or something, you're going to get more power right off the bat. But in order to truly gain the most you can out of that, dyno tuning it, in my opinion, is the only way to go, because now you're optimizing that motor for the mods you've done to it, and you're making it the best you can make it. Besides just getting more power, there's other benefits of getting your bike dyno tuned or putting like a Vortex ECU on your bike. With the Vortex ECU, you can also adjust the overfueling temperature setting on the bike. I believe stock, that setting is set somewhere around 160 degrees. So anything under 160, the EFI system is purposely giving the bike more fuel to try to protect it from cold temps. We see a lot of cold temps snow biking. The other thing is we can adjust the rev limiter with the Vortex ECU. You can raise it a little bit if you want, which actually is awesome. I did that on my 2016 and it was sweet. But the other really cool thing about the Vortex ECU is you have an unlimited number of points at which you can adjust that air-to-fuel ratio. With the Yamaha Power Tuner app, you only have 4 points that you can adjust the air-to-fuel ratio. But with the Vortex, you have an unlimited number of points along the the RPM range, and I explained that here. Okay, we're going to ignore this top curve and we're only going to look at this bottom curve. As you can see what I'm talking about here, this curve down here, this chart, is the air-to-fuel ratio chart. The optimum fuel ratio, or jetting, is just a little over 13. That's a good safe range. The actual optimum is just a touch higher, but you got to be careful when you're going a touch higher. Anyway, so the idea is to try to get your air-to-fuel ratio as close to following that line as possible throughout the RPM range. And the problem with the Yamaha Tuner app, which is right here, is that you're only getting 4 points, 2, 5,000, 8,000, and 10,000 RPM to tune to. If you get the Vortex ECU, you can tune to every single one of these points along the curve, and you can pull that up and pull this down. And anyways, what I was going to say though is when you're above the line, you're too lean, below the line, you're too rich. So you sit there and you mess with those values at those RPM ranges and you try to pull it down. So as you can see, the red was the stock, that's what it was at first. After we messed with the air-to-fuel ratios, we were able to, the green line was what we ended up with in the end. We're able to get it much closer to that line. But again, what I was saying is the problem is we can only touch the 2, 5,000, 8,000, and 10,000 points on the line. If you've got a Vortex ECU, you can touch every one of them and make this even better. Anyways, long story short, I didn't want to make this video this long as it is. I highly recommend dyno tuning your bike, whether you have motor mods or not. An ECU is very helpful, whether you have motor mods or not. And I highly recommend my buddy Colin here at Power Chicken Off-Road in Heber City. He does a fantastic job. Not only is he good at his job, he's also a mountaintop dealer and an avid enthusiast for dirt bikes and snow biking. So he's not one of the dealers that doesn't ride or practice what they're selling. He's out there riding with us. So highly recommended. Yeah, if you got any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, share it with all your buddies, and I'm happy to answer any questions you got, so shoot away. Thanks, guys.